Hello everyone and welcome to midweek in our reflections on Still Crazy After All Those Years and Still Christian After All Those Years. And today we get really crazy because I'm dealing with the R word. Now of course we've heard a lot about the R word with the coronavirus and it's the reproduction rate of the virus. But the R word today is resurrection. So this is where it gets really crazy. Can you really believe in the resurrection in the 21st century? If Christians say they do, does that not make them somewhat crazy? Well, can I begin by thinking about the whole of the New Testament? And it was my birthday recently and I got a card from my children and there's a meerkat in front of it, but when you open it, there's a dance or music that you can dance to. And of course you often get cards like that when you open them, you hear the music. Can I suggest that when we open the pages of the New Testament, it's like there's a party going on. Because there's a note of triumph, a note of rejoicing. And it's based around three words. And it's three words we affirm every Sunday morning. Christ is risen. Christ is risen. Now for Christians, the resurrection is the key to everything. Or to use the illustration of a plug for a sink, the old-fashioned plugs. Of course, things are different now, but there used to be a rubber plug that you would put in as soon as you wanted to turn on the taps. And imagine a sink full of water. When you pull the plug out, the water drains away. That's how it is in the New Testament. Remove the resurrection and everything collapses. The power of that faith just drains away. So the resurrection is key, it's critical, it's absolutely crucial. Now for many people, this is a stumbling block. They can affirm that, well, I think Jesus was a good guy. I think he maybe was a great teacher, or maybe he was a provocative prophet. Well, Jesus was in many ways all of these things, but if that's all we've got, then there is no Christian gospel. Because Jesus doesn't allow us that option. A great teacher? Well, many of the things he said were not new or radical. He was continuing in the Jewish tradition. And some of the things he claimed about himself, well, if he wasn't who he claimed to be, and who Christians claim him to be, he was a nutter. That's hardly a good teacher. A unique prophet? Well, of course, the Muslims believe that about Muhammad, that he follows on again in the biblical tradition, coming after Jesus, and he's the last of the prophets, the seal of the prophets. But we don't believe Jesus was just another prophet or another teacher. And that's why, in so many ways, the phrase Christ is risen is so important. Because notice, it's not Jesus is risen that we see on a Sunday, it's Christ is risen. Now, Christ is not a name, it's a title. Jesus, the Christ. The early Christians, and we saw that yesterday, from right in the first few years after the death of Jesus, were affirming that Jesus was the Christ. Someone unique and special, that God had done something wonderful in and through him. And that means that Easter, the cross and the resurrection, are like a keystone in an arch. Take the keystone away and everything collapses. And in the Easter story, we have an empty tomb, but we also have resurrection appearances. Now, if you take Christ is risen out of that, well, you then are scarpering about to explain what the empty tomb was. Was it made up? Maybe the tomb wasn't empty. If it was empty, who took the body? You get into all that kind of stuff. And it collapses in on itself. And the resurrection, the appearances to the disciples. Well, again, if you remove the capstone, well, maybe they were just hallucinations. Or maybe it's all just legends and made up. But the capstone, the keystone, that holds both of these things together is the affirmation, Christ is risen. But does this not take us into the realm of miracles? Yeah. Do you not believe in miracles? Every morning I open the curtains, I look out on the Ptarmigan Ridge. I go, wow, isn't nature wonderful? Or the starry sky, especially away from the lights of the towns and the cities. You look up into that incredible universe. Is that not miraculous? Or when you see the birth of a little lamb or a human baby and hear the baby's cry? Or how about the atom, the building block of the universe? Or thinking about life on Earth, the cell, the biological cell. One cell is a miracle. Its architecture, its engineering is mind-blowing. One tiny little cell. We're surrounded by miracles. And if there is a God, then miracles are no big deal. Of course, if you don't believe in God, yeah, you don't believe in miracles. If you do believe there is a God, then miracles are at the very least possible. And I can't begin to get my head round what happened and how it happened at Easter. But for me, it's the only thing that makes sense of the data, of the story, of the details about Jesus. Take that away and everything collapses. So the resurrection for Christians is non-negotiable. Without it, there is no gospel. And gospel means good news. There is no faith. We might as well close the churches because we've got nothing to say and nothing to offer. So it's a very, very crucial and important doctrine, the resurrection. It holds everything together. But I want to suggest for us today, it's also like a door. It's a door that we can open, and through that door is another world that opens out before us. And that's God's future to which we are called. And we see a glimpse of that through the door of the resurrection. So can I suggest to you that what we need today is a conversion of the imagination? I leave that thought with you. Thank you for listening. I'll see you tomorrow, and God bless you.